The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Haley Cassidy, Americhem's Global Branding and Digital Marketing Leader. I'd like to thank you all for joining today's presentation, Solvay and Americhem Joint Webinar on Medical Devices, which is where we'll be talking about the new normal in healthcare settings as it relates to polymeric products. All attendees are muted, so please send in your questions through the questions tab, and we'll address them at the end of the presentation during our Q&A segment. Today, we'll start with a brief introduction of our panelists and who Americhem is and Solvay, followed by looking at infection mitigation, utilizing specialty polymers through chemical resistance improvements, and broad sterilization compatibility. Our joint expertise provides off-the-shelf and customized formulation solutions for this ever-changing and demanding environment. We will review several different Solvay polymers and discuss how Americhem is licensed to process and modify those Solvay polymers for specific healthcare applications. Lastly, we'll take your questions that you send in during the presentation. Today, I am joined by Rafael Delgado, Americhem Engineered Compounds Healthcare Market Development Manager, and Jim Hicks, Solvay's Technical Service Engineer. I'll now turn it over to our panelists for them to give brief bios of themselves, followed by the rest of the presentation.
Thanks, Haley. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending. I've been in the plastics industry for 18 years. My background ranges from injection molding machinery, process engineering, hands-on extrusion, injection, and testing of specialty compounds similar to the ones we do today. I spent the last 12 years with Americhem, specifically the Americhem Engineered Compounds Division, AEC for short. The first 9 years, I managed our West Coast business. The last couple of years, I focused on supporting our healthcare customers. I provide material selection assistance. I help resolve molding issues, provide material failure analysis, and support fit and function problems. In this presentation, I hope to illustrate the positive and purposeful collaboration with Solvay. I've had the pleasure of knowing Jim Hicks for quite a while, and I'm proud to be presenting with him today. Now, let me introduce you to Jim Hicks.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning to our audience. Again, my name is Jim Hicks, and I'm part of the Solvay Specialty Polymers Technical Development Team. I am currently in my 30th year working with Solvay Specialty Polymers business, and over the last 20 years, I've been in the field doing direct customer support and application development. My current responsibilities are focused on supporting Solvay's healthcare customers, and to that end, I provide material recommendations, do part design reviews, give processing support, and if needed, material failure analysis. And today, I hope that we can extend your knowledge beyond Solvay's normal material options through our partnership with Americhem.
Americhem has been in business for over 79 years. Our consistent growth over the years has been our approach to building trusted relationships with our suppliers, like Solvay, to provide successful material selections to a wide variety of markets. We have a global footprint of 11 manufacturing sites. The plants supporting our healthcare compounds are Morrisville, Pennsylvania, Swedesboro, New Jersey, Suzhou, China, and our new site in Rebay, Denmark. In regards to our healthcare materials, we have several product lines showcasing our ability to create custom mixes of fillers and fibers to meet your specific requirements. First on the list is ColorRx. Our ColorRx line is a full line of biocompatible resins, offerings from ABS to PAEK. This service provides formulation lock and change management if a raw component becomes unavailable. This platform also allows you the ability to choose any resin that you'd like and use our ISO 10993 pigments or FDA pigments to create custom colors or master batches. Instructs are structurally reinforced line with glass and carbon fiber reinforced products for applications needing increased mechanical and heat resistance. In addition, we can add fillers for dimensional stability, warpage prevention. Examples are minerals, glass beads, mill glass fiber. These fillers disrupt glass or carbon fiber orientation in the flow direction, providing isotropic shrinkage, minimizing warpage. Inelectors are electrically active compounds that uses a wide variety of fillers for EMI, RFI shielding, static control, and thermal and/or electrical conductive applications. Finally, InLube for wear and friction applications, providing reduced coefficient of friction and wear using PTFE, silicone, aramid, and others. Determining your best formulation is going to be dependent on your wear specifics, including wear surfaces, number of cycles, loads, surface temperature, and then those answers will lead you down the path where you might need the addition of glass or carbon in the addition of the lubrication package. Our value, our most important value is our people. Our technical commercial team at AEC have 20, 30 plus years of application experience. Our strategy is simple: remain customer focused with unbiased material recommendations, fast lead times, and small MOQs. This can be especially helpful for MPI projects where there could be multiple solutions. We can turn around 25-pound samples in various base resins and filler packages in 1 to 2 weeks for testing to provide you confidence of the material selection. Equally important, providing risk mitigation. Our ability to produce the same compound globally throughout our ISO 13485 facilities.
So now we're going to look at the Solvay Specialty Polymers division, which is a key part of the overall Solvay business, with our polymers headquartered in Milan, Italy. But as you can see here, we have global presence with production, research, sales, and technical development groups placed regionally to provide local support to our customers. On the next slide, we will highlight what we want to focus on, which makes specialty polymers special. Specialty polymers are characterized by their ability to retain and maintain superior mechanical, thermal, and chemical properties, even when subjected to harsh environments, such as high temperature, high pressure, and corrosive chemicals. Solvay's product portfolio covers a wide range of industries and applications, and Solvay's technical team can offer expert advice on how to select the best material for even your most challenging design projects. This is thanks to the fact we have many polymers in our toolbox to work with. And if you look at the peak of the pyramid, all of the highlighted polymers are from Solvay. While Solvay's standard product portfolio can bring solutions for a broad spectrum of applications, we want to highlight today how Americhem can extend the performance of Solvay's products with custom formulations to meet the new challenges and special needs in the healthcare market.
Americhem and Solvay have a long working relationship. Our production, R&D, and commercial teams provide customers with joint effort for material selection and material failure analysis. AEC is proudly an authorized compounder of Solvay products. This allows us the ability to use Solvay trademarks like Radel and Udel in our nomenclature. Please note, we do not distribute Solvay's neat resins. Our focus is adding fibers, fillers, additives, and pigments.
So today we are going to focus on 6 Solvay materials and how AEC brings additional value to them. We will review 4 of Solvay's standard polymer products supported for healthcare, and want to introduce 2 materials, Amidel and Xydar, that have long been part of the Solvay family, but have not typically been presented for healthcare applications. We will review several applications that illustrate some of the different solutions and unique options that AEC provides. These applications are more than just a new custom color, but a tailored material solution for use in high energy devices for minimally invasive surgeries. They can provide high strength options for use as metal replacements, and special grades that have desired friction and wear attributes that are finding homes in new generations of robotic surgical systems. At the same time, these special formulations must maintain and deliver the expected performance of the Solvay-based polymer for exceptional chemical resistance and the need for sterilization compatibility. So on the next several slides, we will review these select polymer families and how AEC has enhanced those products for new healthcare challenges.
Right, so as Jim says, I have a couple recent applications from our advanced healthcare team. Remember, as a custom compounder, we can choose very specific ingredients like particle sizes and different chemistries that lead to better adhesion to the polymer, therefore increasing your physical properties short-term and long-term. Jim will now introduce us to Udel, or PSU.
Yes, so thank you. Let's start with Udel polysulfone, which has been a workhorse polymer for more than 50 years now. As a naturally transparent, high temperature, chemically resistant polymer, it has been the next best option when polycarbonate parts are failing due to chemical resistance or when limited repeat sterilization is desired. The advantages of Udel polysulfone over other materials such as polycarbonate and other mid-range and commodity polymers is higher use temperature, excellent hydrolytic stability, long-term dimensional stability, and good optical properties. These attributes have allowed the development of a wide range of applications in food service, fluid handling, separation membranes, and of course, healthcare applications. Standard base grades of Udel polysulfone from Solvay come with a full range of regulatory listings such as NSF, USP Class 6, and ISO 10993, including a master access file with the FDA, where Solvay is basic in the neat Udel polysulfone grades and a few glass-filled grades. Raphael will illustrate some additional options available from Americhem.
So Solvay provides Udel grades in white, black, and natural only. PSU, as Jim mentioned, is transparent, but it has a slight amber hue pictured to the right. You can see it compared to polycarbonate, transparent with a slight color. From my experience, the healthcare market doesn't appreciate this color as it has a perception of degradation. Under our ColorRx line, we can mask that natural color and provide opaques and transparent tinted Pantones. There are a ton of small lot custom color applications for Udel, some listed here. The one unique application is IR transmission projects, where you need to hit a specific Pantone, allow a certain amount of light transmission through at a certain thickness, is very important, while also absorbing or blocking at certain wavelengths. Our application here is a reusable version of an existing disposable polycarbonate surgical tool in transparent colors. The requirements included maintaining similar shrinkage as the polycarbonate, increased strength and flex modulus, and being able to survive 100 steam autoclave cycles. We came up with 5% glass-filled PSU. The 5% glass helped to meet the critical dimensions by lowering the shrink from a range of 5 to 7 thousandths inch per inch to a more consistent 5 thousandths inch per inch, and also improving mechanical properties. Now we move up to Radel, also an amorphous material.
Yeah, so Radel is now only about 30 years old, but it has become the go-to polymer for healthcare where repeat steam sterilization is required and expected for many years. So I typically describe Radel PPSU as polycarbonate on steroids, as it has much in common with the well-known super tough properties of polycarbonate. However, Radel boosts thermal properties to almost 100 degrees C higher level. Then Radel PPSU adds in much better chemical resistance as compared to polycarbonate. And finally, it piles it on with even better hydrolytic stability, even when compared to its sibling Udel PSU. Radel PPSU has become a standard in the orthopedic market for use in surgical trials and instrument handles where they must endure several hundred procedures that involve high loads and impaction forces. In addition, these same parts have to handle aggressive cleaners, high temperature steam sterilization, and maintain critical dimensions over years of use, which is no small feat for a polymer. Radel PPSU, like Udel PSU, is naturally transparent, but it is inherently a deeper amber tint, so you do not tend to see it as often in its natural form. However, thanks again to the orthopedic industry, the need for multiple opaque colors was met through a set of 12 opaque standard colors from Solvay with ISO 10993 and MAF files. In addition, most of these colors are available as rod stock for quick prototype development or low volume production needs. So on the next slides, we see how AEC has built on these standard applications with several unique customizations of Radel PPSU.
Our case studies illustrate how we are building upon Radel's natural attributes, including its strength, ductility, gamma stability, and resistance to multiple autoclave cycles. The first application is reusable instrument housing that had a wear surface against a glass-filled nylon component. Requirements included dimensional stability and ductility after multiple autoclave cycles, low static, dynamic coefficient of friction and wear, while still being able to produce a nice medical white. At AEC, we've had a lot of success molding Radel and housings and various housings. You know, it's amorphous materials mold with minimal warpage. Radel also provided the protection needed for the autoclave cycles. So easy choice to use Radel. We addressed the wear needs by adding 10% Teflon and 2% silicone. The 2% silicone is used for startup protection. It allows the needed time for break-in for the PTFE to bloom to the surface. The silicone then oxidizes away. It's important to keep flex modulus of mating materials close to each other, as wear starts when one material flexes and starts deforming. The 10% glass fiber was added to raise the flex modulus to 550,000, since the lubricated only TF10 SI2 lowered the Radel's flex mod to 320,000. None of these additives created a challenge to create the white or any color. Next application is a radiopathic surgical tip. In this case, the customer wanted to see the device on an X-ray, but also wanted transparency to see through it for instruments or bone. They wanted colorability, the ability to laser mark, and they were sensitive of cost. Typically, with radiopathic applications, you have three choices. You have barium sulfate, which is the lowest cost, bismuth subcarbonate right in the middle, and then tungsten, which is the most expensive option. Tungsten not being colorable, the other two you're able to color. So our solution here was Radel, which we label as PPSU, with 18% barium sulfate. We also added a laser mark additive package to improve his contrast with his IR laser at the 1064 nanometers. We locked it in with MD, medical designation, and then we were easily able to use that formulation and create custom colors using our ColorS pigments.
All right, so now I do tend to be a bit partial to Radel, but I know sometimes you need something better. And this is again where Solvay's focus to be a leader in high performance polymers is a powerful tool I have for my customers. In addition, with the addition of KetaSpire PAEK into our portfolio, it provided a clear top of the line addition to the specialty polymers business. PAEK has long been known as the pinnacle of the plastic pyramid with superior chemical resistance, but KetaSpire PAEK also has best in class, has high temperature, high strength, fatigue resistant polymer, having a broad operating temperature range while maintaining good strength and toughness. The concern for many customers is that KetaSpire PEEK is harder to design with, harder to process, and of course, higher priced than materials such as Radel PPSU. This is where Solvay saw an opportunity to bridge the performance gap and introduce our AvaSpire product line. AvaSpire products are tailored to fit the performance gap between high-performance amorphous polymers, such as Radel PPSU, and the ultra-performance materials like KetaSpire PEEK products. For the healthcare market, we introduced the AvaSpire 600 series products that gives you all the performance metrics of Radel PPSU with an increase in chemical resistance. AvaSpire has found an especially sweet spot in metal to plastic conversions, where glass-filled versions have excellent strength and stiffness properties while maintaining long-term stability of properties during repeat sterilization cycles. However, Solvay tends to limit our offerings in AvaSpire and KetaSpire to the very basic beige and black formulations and 30% glass-filled versions for the healthcare market. As Raphael is about to illustrate, AEC can enhance these standard ultra performance materials even further.
Some industries call 30% glass-filled nylon as space-age plastics. I like to reserve that for PEEK personally. PEEK is for demanding applications, with high loads, high heat resistance, and fatigue strength. Here we have a metal to plastic conversion for an articulating arm on a surgical robot. The OEM wanted the material to have long-term high strength, the ability to have metal inserts, metal bearings, so the material had to be overmoldable, and they had mating parts, so they wanted the material to be like. They wanted one side of the part, the two parts that mate, to be the same material, and I mean like. We knew that the part had to operate with minimal noise and smooth movement. So we went right to PEEK. The addition of 40% carbon fiber improved upon the polymer's natural attributes by increasing all the mechanical properties. You're getting 4 million PSI flex modulus, but also very importantly, PEEK 40% carbon fiber, it's the king in regards to tensile fatigue. So a lot of the times with PEEK, I like to think of a king's crown with the peaks. The carbon fiber keeps on giving, improving PEEK's already superior dimensional stability, decreasing thermal expansion and contraction, which is very important for that metal insert. Lastly, in PEEK CF40 TF10, 10% loading of PTFE was added. This improved noise reduction and friction. If you go back to Jim's slide on PEEK versus PAEK, or AvaSpire versus KetaSpire, you're going to see that AvaSpire is pretty interesting. Many of you probably haven't used it. For AvaSpire here, we have an orthopedic sterilization tray. Specifically, in the picture there, we have red covers, vents, corners for protection, and also there was a blue stainless steel insert molded handle. The molded parts needed to be strong, since the whole unit together weighed close to 30 pounds. And color stability, after multiple exposures to steam autoclaving and low temperature hydrogen peroxide cycles. We identified a couple solutions in different polymers and different fillers with what we call our shotgun approach. We completed the color matches and the 55-pound samples in each variation within 2 weeks. It was found that our glass-filled polyethyramide formulations lost impact after autoclaving, and our Radel samples had some color shifts, some embrittlement issues after the low temperature hydrogen peroxide protocol. The AvaSpire formulation with AV651 with our 30% glass stood up to both in regards to color and strength.
Okay, so now we're going to branch out a bit from our normal Solvay healthcare polymers and introduce two materials that have long been part of the Solvay family, but are starting to see growing use in the healthcare market due to some unique properties. Amidel PPA is Solvay's highest performance polyamide polymer. Glass-filled Amidel grades have heat distortion temperatures over 300 degrees C with exceptional high strength and stiffness. This unique combination of properties has allowed the use of Amidel in a wide range of electrical, lighting, and transportation applications. Combined with ease of processing into smaller, thinner applications, Amidel has been an answer for medical applications where high heat is generated in very small areas, such as vessel sealing and cauterizing devices. However, being a nylon-based polymer, Amidel is not suited for long-term repeat sterilization in steam autoclaves and is limited to single-use or single-patient procedures. But Amidel is well positioned to provide a cost-effective solution for these very demanding but limited use applications. I do have to remind the audience that since Amidel is not part of the normal complement of Solvay's healthcare portfolio, there is limited regulatory support for the base polymer used in customization. However, let's now look at how AEC has customized Amidel PPA for healthcare on the next slides.
So we will definitely support you for your PPA applications. That's where we pick up. PPA is my favorite polymer. I like value. PPA's physical properties compared to its cost is amazing. Typically found in single-use laparoscopic instruments. If we look at PPA with 30% glass on the bottom chart, you can see on the bar graph, it's flex modulus. You see PPA GF30 in red. It towers over all the 30% glass fill products that are out there. 30% glass fill fiber has a flex modulus 1.3 million, 1.3 million, 1.38 million flex modulus. And then the orange line is the tensile strength of all the 30% glass fill options. And you can see how it towers 31,000 PSI for tensile strength. So typically used on for insert molding applications, for vessel sealing, usually for jaws, pretty known solution for jaws. Here we have Instruct PPA, GF glass fiber, 35%, mineral MI, 10%, HW standing for hot waterable grade. We chose that because this is a hand insert load. Regular PPA, you're molding at 275 F, and really don't want to expose the operator to put a insert into a mold that hot. So the hot water moldable grade, you're allowed to mold, you can mold at 180 F. Locked in, custom colored. Another application on the other end of the instrument would be our in-lube PPA, 30% carbon fiber, 15% Teflon, 2% silicone. If we go up to the chart, 30% carbon fiber, you can see how it towers on flex and tensile as well. Your 30% carbon fiber PPA, you're looking at flex modulus around 3 million, and your tensile strength towers there about 41,000. Great structural strength. As far as usually for the components in the hand of the surgeon, you have plastic on plastic wearing. So it's great that it's stiff, but we also need some lubrication protection. And we have thrust washer wear, which is the chart to the left on the bottom. We have wear data on every polymer wearing against other polymers, different formulations wearing against metal. This is to showcase PPA CF30 TF wearing against itself, and you see a wear factor of 16 and 10. Please note that this data is available for your use. Any wear number below 200 is excellent. We also show different formulations of PPA with glass and Teflon only, wearing against different types of metal, and we also have it in different temperatures, 70F, 300F.
All right, so our final polymer for discussion is Xydar LCP. Again, like Amidel, Xydar has been commercially available for many years and holds a unique position in the polymer family tree. Xydar combines the engineering properties of ceramics, metals, and composites with the design freedom of thermoplastics. Xydar LCP has unique properties that include high stiffness and strength at elevated temperatures, low coefficient of thermal expansion, high heat deflection temperatures, and is naturally flame retardant, while being able to process into extremely thin walls and long flow lengths. These unique properties quickly made Xydar LCP a desired material for electrical connector applications. Combined with the natural chemical resistance of the polymer, these parts could be used in a wide range of environments. Xydar LCP provides an excellent foundation for developing custom grades for parts where very small and intricate geometries are required while maintaining high strength and stiffness. On the next slide, Raphael will illustrate some areas in the healthcare market where Xydar LCP can bring value.
As stated, LCP is unique for its ability to fill very thin walls and provide CTLE properties similar to metal and ceramics. Most of our LCP applications are found in surgical staple internals. These are going to be 10 to 30% glass-filled formulations. In some cases, we add PTFE for lubrication assistance. And with those formulations, we're doing custom colors. Those colors are usually for indicating stapler size. We also have some unique applications where we're adding carbon fiber to LCP, specifically for insert molding, and with the addition of specialty sensors that are coming up in wearables and new technologies.
So to summarize, when we're discussing an application with a customer, we try to distill things down to several key performance attributes. What are the application's thermal requirements? Not just the use temperature, but will you need high temperatures during the manufacturing or assembly process? Are you looking at metal replacements to reduce weight, or trying to reduce overall costs in the device, but still need the high strength of metal? I try to remind customers that the best answer may actually be to bring the best of metal and plastics to the design, and having a high strength polymer is a way to marry the best of both. I will ask, what are the chemical exposure requirements? We all know the new normal is to clean with stronger and more aggressive chemicals, especially for medical devices that do not see sterilization. So to minimize product failures or recalls, the design engineers are needing higher performance polymers. Of course, a key question is, what are the sterilization requirements, which may reduce your material options even further. But as we have shown, you have more than one option for a polymer solution, and these can be tailored even further if needed. Finally, to know regulatory requirements. What class of device will it be? Will it have direct tissue or patient contact, or will it be a more remote device? The regulatory challenges for material suppliers such as Solvay and Americhem is never ending, but we try to help minimize the risk with a deep knowledge of our products and what goes into them. And to that point, I'll let Raphael wrap things up with his thoughts specific to how AEC helps to transform the previous points to specific solutions.
Thank you, Jim. So we are here to be responsive. We're here to be problem solvers. Examples: you have an unfilled resin mating against a glass-filled resin. You want both of these materials to look the same, have the same Pantone. Challenging, but doable. Maybe you're experiencing warping, breaking, or criticals not meeting spec. Oh, and of course, there's a hard tool that's ready to go in production, and everybody's screaming at you. We can use different loadings and fillers to minimize warpage, add impact modifiers to increase impact, and add a combination of fillers to tweak shrinkage in the direction that you need. You could be developing the next disruptive technology and need carbon nanotubes for connectivity, and also an addition of aramid fiber. You use aramid when you're wearing against brass or soft metals. Whatever you need, whatever your needs are, metal to plastic conversion, chemical resistant housings, as the medical industry is using harsher chemicals, and PCABS is not cutting it. or you need space age custom colored PEEK. We're here to offer you the right solution every time. Sometimes with the 12 gauge approach, but it works. We want to provide you fast deliveries so you can stay ahead of your deadlines. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Raphael and Jim. That was a great presentation. We will now move on to the Q&A portion of our webinar. I'll be reading off the questions that have been submitted and pass them on to our panelists for answering. So I'll take the first question here, but as we're answering these, remember, keep sending in your questions as you would like to have them answered. So our first question is, how does PSU compare to methyl pentene copolymer, or TPX?
Oof. Man.
Wow, yeah, whoever submitted that, you throw out a tough one right at the beginning.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, whoever did that. That's a good one.
I do not tend to see that often with applications. I have worked with it in the past, mainly for extrusion applications. You know, it is a transparent material. It is a lower color option, but I hate to say it, but I would have to look up the properties of that material to actually give you a better answer. But happy to follow up later on if you have a specific need. We could both look into that for you.
Yep, I based same answer. I would, if I had to put money on it, I would say that PSU would be better with mechanical properties after sterilized.
Our next question is referring to the first example for the PPSU application. They wanted to know if the component was a molded rigid housing, or can that also be a flexible material with PPSU?
That was a rigid housing. Maybe they're asking how ductile can it be. It's ductile because it has really good elongation compared to a lot of materials. So I've molded Radel with a ton of filler in it and a ton of colorant. And one of the rawest tests I've ever done was mold a housing, take it outside. I remember I was in Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, and I molded the part and I took it outside and I was slamming it on the concrete, and it was like 110 degrees outside. And I let the part out there for like 30 minutes and kept slamming it and wouldn't break. Not a scientific test, but I guess the flexible portion, I'm not. I don't know, Jim. Do you understand that?
Yeah, it's. I would say, you know, obviously, if you are trying to match certain shrinkages, it's a challenge because you may have to put something in there that will take away some of the ductility. I do know that even a 10% filled version of PPSU Radel still will elongate to yield. But just after yield, it will rupture because you're getting into a completely different regime of stress strain curve. But you know, materials like Radel PPSU are inherently tough. But if you try to add more and more additives or fillers, you begin to have a trade-off. And like everything, if you want flexibility, you have to limit how much fillers you put in it, and vice versa. If you want it to be stiff, you have to add more, but you lose some toughness.
Yeah, and I guess if you had one housing in Radel and then the same housing in a TPE, if you're trying to compare that, you know, side by side, you know, first off would be aesthetics. The Radel white would give you this just really beautiful white. It would be shiny, very aesthetic, please. It would have a very high-end look. The TPE, IOU, whatever you choose, you know, it's hard to get that shininess. You're gonna get, you know, it's gonna be dull. And I think to make a housing that's gonna snap onto another, because it wasn't just a top housing, you have a bottom housing that you're going to get together. I think with TPU, you'd have a tough time getting those things to go together, line up, and click in, like with Radel, because Radel is amorphous. So I think it'd be difficult to make a housing out of TPU. Possible, but I don't think there's a reason to do it.
Our next question is, how do your products react to different sterilization techniques? Do you recommend one sterilization technique over another?
Yeah, I can start with an answer here. So, most of the products we've tested, we've done a lot of testing behind the scenes, and we have a good number of documents about all the different sterilization methods. We've tested in our labs multiple gamma dosages, low temperature hydrogen peroxide, multiple vendors of those equipments. I've done ETO, I've done steam. I actually have a unit in-house that I do all our steam autoclave. Different products will service different sterilization methods. As I mentioned, Amidel is a super polymer, but it is a nylon-based polymer, and so it doesn't do well in steam autoclave. So ETO or gamma, those would be the preferred sterilization methods. With materials like Radel and PAEK, KetaSpire, you can just about use any method, but there's always limitations depending on custom formulations or what your device needs to do and how many cycles it's going to actually see. Raphael, your comments?
Well, yeah, I think if you have a custom form, me and Jim were actually discussing keeping a segment. Jim has a ton of data on the base polymers, and we had 3 or 4 slides on each polymer and how well does it do with the various sterilizations and how many times you can autoclave it. So we have that data. I think that if you have a special formulation, Radel with glass, Radel with carbon fiber, Radel with PSU with Teflon and glass, we find a really good fit for that formulation because every application is different. The nice thing is we can make the formulation, make tensile bars or flex bars or chips, and we can send it to Jim and Solvay. Having all that equipment, being a polymer producer, they can do that testing for us. So yeah. I would say that there's different types of sterilization methods as far as ETO and different radiation methods. Some are, if you have a high volume part and you can, it's easy just to pack them in boxes, stick them in the room and gas them, versus maybe E-beam. But as far as the strength after it's sterilized, if I don't have that, honestly, we don't have all those. I don't have a steam autoclave in my lab. I have a ton of equipment, but I would just send it to Jim and say, hey, would you please do testing on the various sterilization methods? And then Solvay would just give us a report saying, this is the tensile strength after 50 cycles, after 100 cycles of E-beam versus gamma. And then we would give you that information so you would know for sure, and it wouldn't be a guess.
Our next question is, are there any additives that help expand the sterilization of materials, make more resistant to gamma or E-beam, etc.?
I'll let you start.
Yeah, I mean, usually adding some glass fiber helps you out. Adding glass fiber, the first 10% glass fiber, you get your biggest bump in technical performance, or I'm sorry, mechanical performance. So the first 10% loading, you're going to get this if you curve the mechanical properties and versus loading levels, it's going to spike up and then level off. But adding 10 to 30% glass fiber is going to increase your HDT temperature. HDT is your short term, so that's a simple test where you have a tensile bar and you have weight put right in the middle and in an oil bath, and the oil bath goes up, I think, like 2 degrees a minute, and then once that flexes 1/8 of an inch, it records the temperature. So it's usually a short-term test. And then you have RTI, which is your long-term. It's a temperature where your polymer loses 50% of its tensile strength or flex modulus. But for the most part, if you add glass fiber or carbon fiber, it's going to help your thermal properties and can help you on post-sterilization on your part. Jim?
Yeah, so, when it's related to like radiation resistance and maintaining properties, I mean, honestly, one of the first places to start is you have to have a base polymer that can withstand that radiation. Typically, what we see with radiation is usually a color shift. And so you're trying to, if you're doing anything, you're trying to stabilize the color shift. It's not so much the polymer that's changing, it's the tint of the polymer. So most of the materials that we presented here survive pretty decent dosages, up to like 40 kilograys of gamma radiation. I've done E-beam as well. And usually the only thing we're worrying about is color stability more so than retention of mechanical properties. At least that's been my experience with the materials.
Yeah, and we can also add, we can also take any polymer, and if you know what if you're gonna hit it at 40 kilograys, we can give you a pigment package that's going to be stable. So we call it a gamma stable pigment package. So we can help out if you have a white and it's going to be gamma. We can put a specific pigment package together to improve it. But as Jim said, it's very polymer dependent.
So we are at our 45-minute mark here. So that wraps up our Q&A portion of the webinar. I'd like to thank our panelists for their time today, and I'd like to thank our attendees for joining Americhem and Solvay in this important discussion about specialty compounds for healthcare and medical devices. I'd also like to mention briefly here how you can ask us further questions after the webinar is over. If you have any other questions, you can certainly connect with our panelists on LinkedIn, but you can also go to the Americhem website and ask us questions through the instructions on this slide that you see here. If you go to the website link displayed on this slide, which is simply our Americhem homepage, you can go to our Contact Us page and scroll down to the Contact Us form. Please choose the form that states I have a general corporate inquiry, and then choose the option to send the contact form to marketing. I will receive all of these questions directly and follow up as soon as possible with our panelists. You can also take a screenshot of these directions, but we will be sending out a follow-up email with the directions in the email and a link to the contact page. Thank you again for attending our webinar today, and that concludes our presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.